Positive thoughts seem to be on the mind of Coach Chuck Noll, whose young Steelers have turned around a disastrous start. And now, look to the arm of quarterback Bubby Brister to lead them touchdowns a game over the past 6 weeks. Today, they must stop the Broncos' rookie Bobby Humphrey, who has galloped ahead of all rookie runners in the AFC. And quarterback John Elway, Week 9 in the NFL.
NBC Sports presents the National Football League. Today, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Denver Broncos.
It is the usual sellout crowd, 76,000 at Mile High Stadium in Denver on a beautiful 50. While in the AFC Central, it is a critical game for Pittsburgh, hoping to remain in the hunt. Going into today, the Steelers, one of 10 teams to have a record of 4-4. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert with Bob Trumpy. The Steelers won the toss. They are receiving Rod Woodson on the return, getting across the 20-yard line. And we apologize for the audio problems right at the start. And I'm told we are okay, relatively speaking, as we check out the Pittsburgh offensive line with John Jackson, John Reenstra, Dermonte Dawson, Brian Blankenship, and Tunch Ilkin, a line that has been shuffled right throughout. Bubby Brister at quarterback. And a look in the passing situation as Merrill Hodge is stopped by the right inside linebacker Carl Mecklenburg. Now a look at the Steelers out of the shotgun. And defensively, the Denver Broncos, who have been outstanding, even surprising the coaching staff with Carricker, Cragen, and Townsend up front, will run it down completely as the rookie Tim Worley is stopped by Rick Dennison. Tim Worley making his return. He sat out last week because of a back problem. Greg Cragen is back at nose tackle, made his return last week after sitting out because of a knee injury. And in passing situations, this the alignment used by the Broncos. Ron Holmes, coming off a 2-sack day last week, comes on with Haynes, Robbins, and Carrington. It's a 3rd down and 3 at the 30. The Broncos' secondary has been outstanding, led by Dennis Smith, who is having himself an all-pro season. Just underway at Mile High. And Brister from the shotgun, in trouble, able to complete for the first down. Mark Haynes on the coverage of Lewis Lips, who last week against Kansas City had a terrific day with 7 receptions, 2 for touchdowns.
That time, Steve Atwater, the free safety for the Denver Broncos, came on the blitz. You'll see him on the left. Kind of picked up by Merrill Hodge, but Bubby does a great job of getting away. And the throw out to Lips, it does not appear that he gets the second foot down. Now, of course, that's always reviewable on the sideline, but Lips has been Brister's favorite receiver when both are healthy. I would not be a bit surprised if we have a stoppage here and they do review that catch on the sideline.
Right now, the indication is that it was short of the first down and that he did not get the 2 feet in. And that play will hold. So a punting situation, and Vance Johnson is back to receive the punt from Harry Newsom. Dan Reeves making changes in his punt formation alignment. Here's Johnson. Nice cut.
He's got a chance.
Newsom is back. And the punter Newsom holding down Johnson. A 53-yard punt, a 33-yard return. Ken Bell had been the Denver punt receiver, relieved of his duties after several adventures and muffs. And that's Harry Newsom shaken up as he was able to get the grips on Vance Johnson.
He reverses his field here. Now, of course, Ken Bell could not hang on to the ball at all. So Dan Reeves has to go to one of his starting receivers as the punt returner. Newsome makes the hit here. He is the last person to possibly stop him. And I think Newsome, when he was lying on the ground as the trainer approached him, he said it was his shoulder. This is a very, very nice job. You know, Johnson has not returned a lot of punts for the Denver Broncos since he's been here, but that's a very impressive start and has to be a very encouraging sign for Dan Reeves. Yeah, see, they're looking at his shoulder. It looked like when he reached out to stop Johnson on the return, he landed on his armpit. One of the worst things you can do as an athlete. Now watch his right. When he begins to fall, his arm is completely extended and he falls right on his armpit, and that's smarts. But he's the punter, so if his leg is all right, I'm sure they feel he can play the rest of the game.
That, in fact, was the first punt return of the season for Vance Johnson. Dan Reeves just wants Johnson to field the punts. Nothing fancy. It's been almost 2 years since Johnson had returned a punt.
But a 33-yard return, hey, they'll take it. And Denver needs some help in the first part of the game because they've been shut out in the first quarter of the last 5 games they've played.
As we look at the Denver offensive alignment, Jeff Alexander back, sat out last week with a sprained ankle. First down from midfield. And Elway with the short pop. He has Bobby Humphrey, David Little, and the rookie Jerry Olszewski combined to make the stop. Back to the Denver offensive set. In passing situations, Humphrey, Alexander, and Kay depart. Sammy Winder comes on with Michael Young, who's gone well the last couple of weeks, and Steve Sewell. A second down and 3 as Sewell flanks to the right side and Jackson to the left. And it's Humphrey. Took a big hit, picked up the first down. Greg Loy, the outside linebacker, made the stop on Bobby Humphrey. And we'd like to welcome those of you who have been watching the Seattle Seahawks and the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City bouncing back from the loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers last Sunday by coming up with the win. We are scoreless here in Denver. Marv Albert along with Bob Trumpy. First down at the 36 for John Elway and his Broncos. And the sideline pass is caught by Sewell. Strong safety Carnell Lake, the rookie from UCLA, making the stop.
Now, Marv, you can see what Denver is attempting to do here with alignment. They have Steve Sewell flanked out as a wide receiver, and they're getting the strong safety Carnell Lake in coverage. Now, Carnell Lake is an excellent defensive back, but converted from linebacker last year at UCLA to strong safety. Pittsburgh doesn't want their strong safety out there exposed. And again, now far side of the field, you have Sewell against, it's not Lake this time. This time it's Dwayne Woodruff, the corner on the running back.
And a second down and 2. Humphrey is stopped, stacked up by the inside linebacker David Little. And the Steeler front seven, Willis, Williams, Tim Johnson making his return, bothered by a sprained ankle. Rookie Jerry Olszewski starting at the right inside linebacker position, a 10th round draft pick out of the University of Pittsburgh. And when they go to the passing situation, the dime, the alignment, Williams, Hall, and Griffin coming on the regular secondary. They played well. Woodruff, Woodson at the corners, Lake and Everett, the safety men. Third down and 1 at the 27. And Humphrey picking his way for the first down. Little and Everett combined. Good block by the tight end, Clarence Kay. So the Denver Broncos with a good-looking drive here in the first quarter. Fourth quarter, Cleveland in a shootout leading Tampa Bay. Houston and Detroit have been going in a roller coaster game. Buffalo with Jim Kelly making his return. Miami defeats Indianapolis. And New England has moved in front of the Jets 26-24. Green Bay by 1 over Chicago. First down at the 24. And it's Humphrey again, but this time he's hit back at the line. That was diagnosed by the outside linebacker, Greg Lloyd.
So far in this first series, as you look at the final two scores we have there, we gave you the Kansas City final. And Rams and Minnesota now tied. So far, you've seen a lot of different looks from the Denver Broncos to begin with. A lot of different formations, a couple of draws. They throw the ball to Sewell out in the flat. That's something that Pittsburgh will have to deal with all day long. Dan Reeves likes that multiple look offense.
Now Mel Breton has joined Bobby Humphrey in the backfield. Second down at 8 at the 22. Movement on both sides. Humphrey finding the hole, and he's in for the touchdown.
It appeared that there was defensive contact at the line of scrimmage. Gerald Williams, the nose tackle, appeared to jump prematurely. That's the score.
The indication from the referee, Red Cashin. So Denver getting off to the bad start last week against Philadelphia, turning it around here at the start against Pittsburgh.
Good lead block by Breton. He gets the linebacker on the ground, and then something happens to the rest of the defense because there's no one there.
And Bobby Humphrey's number was called on 6 of the 7-play drive, capping it with a 22-yard run for the touchdown. David Treadwell will try and tack on the extra point, and does. So the Broncos in front of the Steelers by the score of 7-0. Denver comes in at 6-2. They lost to the Eagles last week, 28-24. Wins over Kansas City, Buffalo, Raiders, San Diego, Indianapolis, and Seattle. They lost at Cleveland by 3 in that controversial finish, which involved the dog pound, and last week the loss to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Marv, that's an important score for Denver psychologically. In the last 5 games had been shut out 34-0 in the first quarter. And of course, then you put more pressure on the offensive line of the Denver Broncos to protect John Elway, and that is so far this season been the weakest part of this football team, the pass protection for John Elway. So Reeves has to be pleased.
David Treadwell will kick it off. Rod Woodson is the deep man for Pittsburgh.
You know, the fans here in Mile High Stadium not cheering a great deal. I think they probably overdid themselves yesterday rooting for the Colorado Buffaloes over Nebraska. I mean, they are worn out sitting here today. You know that?
As the Colorado Buffaloes were able to make it 2 wins within 8 days over Nebraska and Oklahoma. Good kick by Treadwell, and Woodson has to stay right there. And that kickoff by Treadwell deep into the end zone, and they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. So the Pittsburgh Steelers go back to the offense. Talking with Bubby Brister last night, he told us he keeps telling himself he has to be patient against the Denver zone and looks to use more pump fakes than he normally would, and will try to look people off more than he usually does. But he goes to the ground for Worley. Tim Worley, who's had a frustrating injury-hit rookie season. In college, Worley was rarely hurt.
Yeah, also never really coughed up the football at Georgia either. But Chuck Noll's comment last night to us shocked me. He said, this is the first full week of practice that Worley has had since we got him. And he said, we're not sure what this kid can do, but we're going to find out. And one thing I notice already, Pittsburgh has generally been a sideline-to-sideline trapping team. With Worley in there, being I-back out of Georgia, they're going right straight at Denver a lot more.
And Brister with a 2nd down and 5, dropped by Hodge, covered by Braxton. Noll also said that he was amazed by Bubby Brister's performance last week against Kansas City after he had sat out with a sprained knee. Chuck felt that Bubby would show some rust, but that not the case. 17 for 27, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, offensive coordinator Tom Moore told me this morning, too, as they were about to get on the bus, he said, I expect him to be rusty because what he did last week, he did on one leg. He's got that big knee brace on the left leg. They don't want him running a lot. They don't want people all over him. He is certainly their franchise.
It's a 3rd down and 5. Are you now saying goodbye to the players as they depart from the hotel on the bus stop? Hanging around. And Brister's pass is broken up. Wyman Henderson on the coverage of Ouija Thompson to get a piece of it.
Bubby yet to complete a pass in the first 2 drives here now by Pittsburgh. There's a flag also on the field. You can see the knee brace on Bubby's left knee. Good delivery, but we've got holding against Pittsburgh. The penalty will be declined, so Pittsburgh twice goes 3 downs and out.
And Harry Newsom, who took that shot to his shoulder, apparently all right, back to punt at his 10. 53-yarder for Newsom in his first punt attempt. And once again, Vance Johnson is back. He had that good return. And again, a nice punt. And a fair
Good
catch.
choice.
Yes, called by Johnson. Dan Reeves was saying that he just wants a sure-handed situation back there. Of course, he thought he had that with Ken Bell, but that turned out not to be the case the last few weeks. A 47-yard punt by Newsom. So, Denver first down at the 29-yard line. Those of you who were checking out NFL Live, and certainly those in the Denver area, are aware of the John Elway circumstances revolving around some of the coverage in Denver media, and the article in this week's Sports Illustrated, where John has said he feels suffocated by the media here in Denver, objecting to the public examination of his private life. Elway throwing on first down, throwing deep for Sewell, and he's got it.
There it is.
It is a 56-yard pass to Sewell, who beat the rookie strong safety, Carnell Lake.
Taking advantage of the alignment, Sewell, again, the running back, is out there on a strong safety. That's what they're looking for. They set it up in the first series, threw him a hitch, then he runs the hitch and go. 56-yard gain. Denver's found a weak spot now.
And Denver first down at the Pittsburgh 15. Elway 3 for 3, 71 yards off the play action. A beautiful fake. But Elway saw the field close as he tried to go wide and was pinched out of bounds. Brian Hinkle on the coverage. Elway also questioned what he feels has been negative coverage of a team that has a record of 6-2. He says, when you lose, you expect tough questions, but not when you win.
Well, on that last play, the rollout, you could see exactly what he was trying to get the clearance K. He's right here. Elway's going to roll this way, but there's excellent coverage here and here, and there's no place for John Elway to throw the ball. He's passed off, and you see Thomas Everett right there with Clarence K, so Elway's got to run it.
2nd and 8 at the 13. Double tight ends for the Broncos. K and Mobley are in there. And the handoff to Humphrey as David Little was able to have that one figured out, was right there. Some extracurricular action. Bob, getting back to the subject of John Elway and the controversy this week, the other school of thought is that Elway is a public figure making a great deal of money because of public interest in what he does. On television show, featured in a number of commercials. He's received enormous radio and television exposure. So the other point of view is that you have to expect scrutinization. But the question is, where should it stop?
Well, I think the point should be made, too, that John Elway has complained this week for the first time in 7 years. He is royalty in this town. And I think he has to at least accept some of that.
All right, 3rd and 9. Penalty markers down. Elway throwing one away.
That's on the defense.
Elway's pass.
Mark Jackson was in the area, covered by Thomas Everett. It is a 7-0 Denver lead. Denver on the move once again. And once again, the call against the Steelers.
Yeah, John Elway is very, very good at that hard count.
Number 95 on the defense, still 3rd down.
He bobs his head, and of course, when he's back in the shotgun, movement is allowed from behind the quarterback. You see Elway moves his hands, and Greg Lloyd, 95, who is supposed to be watching the football, is watching John Elway, and he's drawn offsides.
Recall earlier this season against San Diego, Elway drew the Chargers offside 6 times by changing the inflection of his voice during the snap count. He has been very effective with that technique. 3rd down and 4 at the 9. 4 wideouts for Denver. Elway
Sewell
with the bullet, and he threw it slightly behind Steve Sewell.
Coverage was Gerald Williams. This young man they use in about 12 different ways. Watch 91 go out of your picture. He's got Sewell. Sewell runs a little circle route. Elway pumps and then throws behind him. It looks to me like he might have been able to get in the end zone if John Elway can get it to him.
And now David Treadwell checks in. He is the man who replaced Rich Karlis and has had a terrific season. However, today, Rich Karlis of Minnesota has kicked at last count 6 field goals, although he was only 6 for 15 going in, and he did make it 7, and that ties a record. Meanwhile, Treadwell puts it through. A 26-yard field goal for David Treadwell, and Denver with a 10-0 lead on Pittsburgh with 6:51 remaining in the first quarter. And we'd like to welcome those of you who have been watching the Jets and the Patriots up in Foxborough, with the Jets coming back to beat New England for only their 2nd victory this season. New England coming off the overtime win against Indianapolis last week.
The most remarkable story about that game, Mark Wilson throws a touchdown for the New England Patriots. That's 4 quarterbacks who have thrown touchdowns for New England, and none of them have been out of the game because of injury.
Other final, Miami beats Indianapolis. Green Bay knocking off Chicago.
Wow.
So the Bear troubles continue. And Minnesota does beat the Rams 23-21, and Karlis with 7 field goals ties the record of Jim Bakken. 7 field goals in 1 game.
Is that 23-21? They win with a safety in overtime? Did I see that score correct?
Yes, correct. Now the kickoff returned by Woodson. Woodson gets it out to the 24-yard line. Bruce Klosterman, backup linebacker, on the stop. Yes, the 7th field goal by Karlis from 40 yards away tied the game at 21 with 11 seconds remaining in regulation. And Minnesota, in a most unusual final score, does it 23-21 in overtime.
Wow. Well, Pittsburgh here in the first part of this first quarter has gotten nothing. 0. They have to establish something here, or Denver's going to run away with this football game in a hurry, Marv.
And it's a first down at the 24 for Bubby Brister. Big rush by Denver. That was intended for Lewis Lips, who is covered by the left corner, Tyrone Braxton.
Bubby's got to hurry here. The Broncos are getting a bunch of guys at the line of scrimmage. What the Broncos are trying to do is they are daring the Pittsburgh Steelers to throw the ball. Look at all the people they have right up at the line of scrimmage there, Marv. They've got about 8 guys up at the line of scrimmage, and they're telling Bubby Brister, go ahead, try to run it. They're making him throw. Fletcher almost makes the sack there.
And off the 2nd and 10, Tim Worley stopped by Carl Mecklenburg. Bubby Brister now 0 for 4. Worley inactive last week because of a back problem. He's had a number of injuries. This past week, the first full week of practice that Worley had since reporting to the Steelers, he was a holdout, and that did not help his situation.
A turf toe, he had an infected elbow, and then back spasms or a back strain. And Marv, as you said earlier, he was a real workhorse for Georgia. Didn't miss any games at all.
He did pick up 9. It's a 3rd and 1 at the 33. Worley is stopped by Rick Dennison. He applied the hit.
This is an offense that under Chuck Noll historically has been a great running football team. But they come into the ball game with just a 3.2-yard average per rush, which is the worst in the league. And Wade Phillips' defense, look at Dennison. Oh, what a stick. Nice job. He gets the most of the credit, but the Pittsburgh offensive line did not move the Denver defensive line an inch.
Same story, 3 plays and a punt. And here is Newsom, who has punted well. That has been the only positive thus far for the Steelers. Another good one. Vance Johnson on the return. So Johnson gets across the 25. David Little applying the hit. 46-yard punt, 5-yard return. It's a 10-0 Denver lead. 5:06 to go in the first. Last season when these two clubs met in Pittsburgh, the Steelers won 39-21. That snapped a 6-game losing streak. Pittsburgh going crazy that day with trick plays, no huddle, reverses by Lewis Lips. Also passed to surprise the Broncos.
Yeah, also rushed for 256 yards. And a 1-6 football team beat the Denver Broncos. And I imagine Chuck Noll would like to see a repeat performance of that today. But Denver firmly in control to this point.
And the Broncos start out from their 26. Elway 3 out of 4, 71 yards. Off the roll. Couldn't find anyone, and down he goes. David Little will get credit. So Elway losing several yards on the play. Set for an update. Let's go to Bob Costas and NFL Live.
Okay, Marv, overtime at the Metrodome. Dale Hatcher to punt for the Rams. Mike Merriweather breaks through. He blocks it for the Vikings. He's discouraged that he doesn't recover for the fumble, but it's really a moot point out of the end zone for a safety. And on 7 Rich Karlis field goals in regulation and the safety in overtime, Minnesota hands the Rams their 4th straight loss, 23-21. Marv?
All right, Bob, what a wild finish. Mike Merriweather, of course, the one-time Pittsburgh Steeler. Here is Humphrey. Try to cut back in, and he is stopped at the 17 by Greg Lloyd and Brian Hinkle, the outside linebackers, getting to the running back, Bobby Humphrey.
Marv, that last pass attempt by John Elway, where you saw him take the sack, that's the influence of Mike Shanahan. Before Shanahan got here, John Elway was encouraged to try to make the play at the end of the play. Here you see him roll out. There is no one to throw to, and as opposed to throwing the ball down the field, just throwing it away, he takes the sack. That is directly from Mike Shanahan.
And now Elway looking at a 3rd down and 20. He does have the 4 wideouts. Elway with the time and able to complete to Ricky Nattiel for his first catch of the season. Ricky Nattiel back from injured reserve, out with a knee problem on a 38-yard connection.
Delton Hall was the man in coverage. 4 wide receivers by Denver. Excellent pass protection up front. Elway had all kinds of time, and again, an influence of Mike Shanahan. Watch him step up. Step up, step up. He's looking, guns it out there. Nattiel had that cracked kneecap. First catch of the season. Wow, that was 3rd and 20, and Pittsburgh allows that conversion. That will not make defensive coaches and Chuck Noll happy on the Steelers sideline.
A first down at the 46. And Elway with the short pop has Humphrey. Breaks a tackle and has the first down. Woodson and Woodruff with the tackle of Humphrey.
Marv, this is going back to the alignment of the Denver Broncos. They are continuing to use Steve Sewell as a wide receiver. They are keeping the strong safety out of any part of the defensive play. That time Humphrey just runs the little circle pattern across the defensive line of scrimmage and is wide open, and it's all set up by Sewell being that wide receiver.
Now Johnson is to the left, Jackson right. Sewell in motion. And Elway goes incomplete. Penalty flag is thrown as Johnson was hit from behind by Woodson.
Play is to the left. Johnson runs the square in. Woodson, an excellent man in coverage. There's been a lot of flags thrown in this defensive backfield for Pittsburgh throughout the '89 season. And frankly, some of their coaches believe that it's just they're being a little too picky on this pass interference. This kid is an extraordinary player in the NFL. Great recovery time, good man-on-man coverage, great kickoff and punt returner when he wants to be, world-class speed. He's a cornerstone of that defense for a number of years for Pittsburgh.
And he has made it back from a dislocated shoulder. However, he is called for the pass interference, establishing a first down at the Pittsburgh 29. Denver 10 and Pittsburgh nothing. Humphrey, following the block, gets to the 24. Doug Weidel, the right guard, the rookie from Boston College, leading Humphrey. And we'd like to welcome those of you who have been watching Buffalo and Atlanta. And Atlanta with a come-from-behind win over Buffalo, with Jim Kelly making his return. The Bills were 3-0 under the backup Frank Reich.
What is going on in the NFL today? There have been some strange happenings already. Clarence Kay just came off. Looked like he sprained a knee or something. It's Orson Mobley. Pat Kelly at tight end now for Denver.
2nd and 4 down at the Steeler 23. Jackson in motion. And the handoff to Humphrey. And picks up short yardage. Greg Lloyd on the tackle. Now a swing around the NFL. These are final scores. Cleveland knocking off Tampa Bay in a shootout between Kozar and Testaverde. Houston leading Detroit in the 4th. Atlanta, as we just mentioned, knocking off Buffalo. Miami beats Indianapolis. The Jets come from behind. And Green Bay over Chicago. 4 straight losses for the Bears. Overtime, Minnesota beats the Rams. Kansas City over Seattle. Raiders out to a 14-0 lead. Bo Jackson with a 92-yard run. Bobby Humphrey. And a little swing out taking place with a flag sent flying. Pat Kelly, a backup tight end for Denver, involved with linebacker Greg Lloyd. There's Kelly, second-year man from Syracuse, goes 6'6", 252.
On Pittsburgh. Normally they get the guy who fires back.
And it appeared to be Greg Lloyd. Apparently the officials did not see Kelly get involved.
That's the way the season's gone for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They always seem to get the other guy. The flags are always on Pittsburgh.
So it is being marked off, and Denver will have a 1st and goal when the ball is spotted. Off to a 10-0 lead. On the 26-yard field goal by Treadwell, and a 22-yard run for a touchdown by Humphrey. John Elway on fire here at the start. This is the 8th play of the drive. It's a 1st and goal from the 8. Humphrey.
Oh, look at that push.
Getting inside the 5. The Steeler linebackers, Hinkle, Little, Olszewski, and Lloyd all involved to stop Humphrey. Bobby Humphrey, Denver's first pick in the supplemental draft out of Alabama.
Look at this push up front by the offensive line of the Denver Broncos. I mean, Humphrey is almost 5 yards down the field before anybody makes contact with him as the first quarter ends.
Clock running down. When we resume in the second quarter, it will be Denver ball, 2nd and goal from inside the 5, with the Broncos leading the Steelers by the score of 10-0.
This is Bob Costas in New York. A couple of years ago at the Kingdome in Seattle, Bo Jackson set a Raider record by going 91 yards from scrimmage. He does himself one better here against the Bengals. This one covers 92 officially. The Raiders lead Cincy 14-0 early in the second quarter. To make matters worse, Boomer Esiason, a bruised right shoulder, not his throwing shoulder, but nonetheless out of the game for the moment. Back to Mile High Stadium.
Thank you, Bob. Well, Boomer coming off the 5-touchdown game last week in that Cincinnati wipeout over Tampa Bay. Meanwhile, here in Denver, as we get underway in the second quarter, it's all Broncos with a 10-0 lead.
Yeah, the 9 first downs to nothing. The Steelers have gone 3 downs and out 4 different times.
Last night we were chatting with Pittsburgh defensive coordinator Rod Rust, and he told us that the Steelers' main failure defensively has been coming up with the big plays. He said there simply haven't been any defensively.
They need one here.
A 2nd and goal from inside the 5. Denver looking for another score, and Elway.
He was heading for Jackson. The play action fake and turn around, and Elway is looking right into the sun there. And I'm not sure he even saw any of that. That thing was going through arms and fingers and hands. It's going to be coming right at us. And he is looking right into the sun. Little slant. Jackson is the guy running the slant, going way out in front of him. But that may be more the sun than anything else.
Elway now 5 for 7. As you see, 122 yards. 10th play of this drive.
4 wide receivers for Denver, Marv.
And Elway, with the time, couldn't decide what to do, and then took a pump as he's intercepted.
Elway's hurt,
Woodson
too.
On the intercept, and Elway is hurt.
He got hammered.
He could not decide. First he thought he had a receiver, then he thought he might run, and it cost.
Plenty of time for him to throw, but when he comes out to the side, he's really off balance. It looks like Gerald Williams hits him, and also Gerald Williams. Elway still down after throwing the interception.
All right, we'll take a break. Back in Denver in a moment.
Elway is up. He's okay. He got kind of sandwiched. Gerald Williams, the nose tackle, hit him from behind, and Gerald Williams, 91, the linebacker, hit him from the front, but he looks like he's all right.
Rod Woodson with his second interception of the season. Picked one off against Kansas City last week. So Pittsburgh first down from the 20. Worley trapped behind the line, then broke a tackle and is stopped for a loss, but a penalty flag is down. The nose tackle, Greg Cragen, on the stop of Tim Worley.
This is on Malarkey, the tight end, moved prematurely. Now that's the 12th interception that John Elway has thrown so far this season.
And the report on John Elway is that he just had the wind knocked out. It looked much worse when he took that hit, but apparently is okay. Mike Malarkey in the starting lineup today. He's been inactive last week with a knee injury and drew the start instead of Terry O'Shea, who was the starter last week. On the play action, Brister able to complete to Worley. Flag down again, and another flag is thrown as Worley bulls his way to the 27, short of the first down. Henderson and Mecklenburg on the stop.
Looked like there was an offensive lineman downfield.
There are penalty markers on the
Offensive
play.
lineman downfield. So that's an expensive one. So far, nothing has gone right for Chuck Noll. They set up the screen beautifully. Andre Townsend gets a lot of pressure on Bubby Brister. You see 61. But you already have an offensive lineman downfield, and it's 74, Terry Long. He's way downfield, so it cost you 5 yards. And nothing is working for Pittsburgh except for that interception by Rod Woodson.
There's Terry Long back in the lineup despite a sprained ankle, although Brian Blankenship did start the game. It is a 1st and 23 back at the 7. And Brister,
Another screen.
did not work, intended for Hodge. Good rush by Simon Fletcher and Andre Townsend. So Bubby Brister off to an 0 for 5 start, still limping from a sprained knee. He told us last night his left shoulder also occasionally acting up, but he is having difficulty getting things going.
You can see the pressure the Denver Broncos defense is putting on Brister. He's not got much time to throw. There's 73 Fletcher, 92 is Carricker, and that ball overthrown to Merrill Hodge, 33. They tried 2 screens in a row, and neither works.
2nd and 23 from the 7. And Worley to the outside. And
Fumble.
he's stripped. Recovered by Denver. Penalty marker has been thrown. As it is run in, that is Alfonso Carricker, but a flag is down.
Dennis Smith was the man on the tackle. It was right at the spot of the tackle.
Pittsburgh Steelers fans will recall that opening game for Tim Worley against the Cleveland Browns, where he fumbled 3 times the first 9 carries.
You know, yeah, face mask against the defense, but is it before the turnover or after? Let's see what they're going to call. I think they're going to call before the turnover. Dennis Smith had a hold of Worley's face mask, so the fumble is wiped out.
Face mask foul, number 34 on the defense before the ball was fumbled. 5 yards, still 2nd down.
They got the wrong guy. They called 34, but it's Dennis Smith, 49. So it wipes out the turnover. Pittsburgh is very fortunate there, and the drive stays alive because it's also a 1st down.
So subtract the fumble from Tim Worley's record. Now, we mentioned that in college he had hardly ever been injured. He had a knee problem at one time, but he was not known as a fumbler during his years at the University of Georgia, but has certainly had his problems. 2nd down and 10 at the 20. Short set for Brister, and he has a completion with Worley, but short of the 1st down. Michael Brooks was right there with Tim Worley.
Well, Pittsburgh is searching here. They are trying to find something. There you saw Tom Moore. Worley walked right by him. Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator of Pittsburgh, is trying to find something here that works against this defense. There's Tom Moore. That time he ran a little motion to try to loosen up the defense. I mean, this is the problem you have when you play Denver or a team when things aren't going your way. You go to plan B. You try to find something that works.
Steelers 3rd down 4 from the 26. Brister with his first completion. He now has Lips to the right side.
Now look, it's 8 guys at the line of scrimmage there for Denver, Marv.
Big rush, gets it away, and has Hodge. 1st down and some more. And Brister is hurt. A 22-yard pass play, and Brister, who is a very tough competitor, took a shot.
You can see Atwater coming again on the safety blitz. That's the 2nd time he's been in there, and this is the 1st time he's gotten Bubby Brister. And you can see Merrill Hodges, the receiver, goes right through here, and Atwater almost makes the sack, but that's a gutty completion by Bubby Brister for Pittsburgh's first down of the ball game.
And they have it out at the 48. 2 minutes have gone by in the 2nd quarter, and Brister throwing for Lips. Lips could not get to it. Tyrone Braxton was covering on the play. Lewis Lips last week against the Chiefs had a terrific day. 7 receptions, 130 yards, 2 for touchdowns, 1 on a 64-yard play.
This is a deep slant. You see Bubby going back there setting up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 throw, and just overthrew Lewis Lips a little bit. He's got to catch fire here in this 2nd quarter.
Bubby does have a strong arm. In fact, he had put the bomb back in the Steeler game plan. 2nd down and 10. And Hodge on the attempted draw was stopped by Cragen.
Well, there's not a lot working here, Marv. This is a sprint draw attempt by the Pittsburgh Steelers. You see 71, the nose tackle. They have a game on up front. He takes one side of Dermontti Johnson, the center, and that's the side where the draw is supposed to go. He's there to make the tackle.
It sets it back to a 3rd down and 12. Greg Cragen had been out with a knee injury, missed a couple of games, made his return last week against the Eagles. That sent Andre Townsend, who had been filling in at the nose tackle, back to the right side.
Now, Marv, again, look, you got 9 guys at the line of scrimmage for Denver. They are daring Pittsburgh to run the ball.
And Brister looking to throw. And gets it away, incomplete. Intended for Rodney Carter downfield. And again, we will see Harry Newsom and the punting unit check in.
Well, they finally get their first down, but there's Tom Moore and Bubby Brister. And so far, the Denver, John Elway talked this week about the press suffocating his life in Denver. Well, Pittsburgh's got to know how John Elway feels, because the Denver defense is suffocating Pittsburgh at this point.
For Newsom, his 4th punt. He is back at the 30. And Vance Johnson awaits the punt. So the fair catch for Johnson inside the 15-yard line on a 42-yard punt by Newsom. They mark it at the 13. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Mile High Stadium, Denver, Colorado, with Bob Trumpy. I'm Marv Albert. A 10-0 Denver lead over Pittsburgh. 3 minutes have gone by in the second quarter, and Denver first down from the 13. Elway to the ground. David Little with the stop of Bobby Humphrey. And a check around the scoreboard. These are the late games. The Raiders, led by Bo Jackson, with a 14-0 lead. Bo with a 92-yard run for a touchdown to make it 14-zip. San Diego in front of Philadelphia. The Giants over Phoenix. Giants looking to make it 4 straight wins. Record of 7-1. Humphrey picked up 6. A second down and 4 at the 19. Elway again got the time, and it's picked off. Brian Hinkle on the interception. Second time this first half that Elway has been intercepted, and he's hearing it now from the crowd.
This pass is intended for the tight end, Pat Kelly. They run Sewell again out in the flat. Here's Pat Kelly. You see, he comes right down here, but Elway is expecting him to stay here. He floats out, and Hinkle makes the interception. Hinkle is on him, 53. Now watch what Kelly does. He goes out. Elway's expecting him to keep on going down the field, and he throws the interception. 13th of the season, second today.
It has not been a standout season for John Elway, as he will admit. But those who support Elway say, well, they've had problems with the offensive line. Elway has been injured. The game plan has changed. Merrill Hodge is stopped. Carl Mecklenburg making the stop. No gain on the play. It's a 2nd and 10 at the 22. Well, those of you who may have seen NFL Live prior to our telecast saw some news-making developments. With Bob Costas and O.J. Simpson hosted. Rick Riley, the Sports Illustrated writer, talked about John Elway's complaints concerning the media. Here's Brister, able to complete to Hodge. Short of the first down, Michael Brooks running him out of bounds. John Riggins on NFL Live discussing the Washington Redskins and their problems, saying that the Redskins just are not a very good football team. And Bobby Beathard in the insider section making the point that the Bills actually would rather have Shane Conlon back than Jim Kelly. Not that they have a choice. And as it turned out, Kelly made his return, and the Bills lost after going 3 for 3 under Frank Reich. I don't know if that proves anything, but Shane Conlon is certainly a valuable member of the defensive corps. 3rd down and 3 at the 15. That's Carter in motion. Carter. Brister throws, has Carter, and let's see where they will spot it. No indication.
It is a touchdown. It is a touchdown. Near side official on the goal line.
It is a touchdown for Pittsburgh. Some of the Steelers were uncertain. Tyrone Braxton trying to cover Rodney Carter, and so off the 2 interceptions by Elway, the Steelers have hung in.
Carter was the man in motion. Tyrone Braxton, the man in coverage. Good move by Carter. Gets up underneath the coverage. There you see the man in motion. Look at a little juke. Gets by him. Brister has time. 15-yard completion. And a score for Pittsburgh.
And now the extra point. Gary Anderson, among the NFL's best, makes it 12 for 12 on the season. And with 10:23 to go in this second quarter, Broncos now lead the Steelers by the score of 10. Feeling a bit. Carter, 15-yard touchdown for Carter, his 4th touchdown of the season, and it closes to a 10-7 Denver lead. And one of the up men takes the kickoff and makes the return. It is Mel Bratton off that bouncing kick.
Anderson slipped when he went to kick that ball. almost fell down before he got to the football.
So the Denver Broncos back to the offense, starting out at their 30.
Watch what happens to Gary Anderson on the kickoff just when he plants his foot. Begins to slide, goes right to Mel Bretton. This is the stuff that triple plays are made out of, you know. But Denver starts with great field position at their own 39. They'll take it.
And there is Gary Anderson in his 8th season out of Syracuse. Denver first down at the 39. John Elway has been picked off twice. 5 for 9 overall, 122 yards. Long count. And the inside handoff, handled by Sewell, does not get much. Gerald Williams, the nose tackle, was right there. Reminder coming up tonight on the Magical World of Disney. It'll be Ernest Goes to Camp, followed by a couple of new episodes of the family comedies Sister Kate and My Two Dads, and then the world premiere of Cross of Fire. It's based on the true story of the rise and fall of the Ku Klux Klan in the Midwest during the 20s. Fascinating story that has had excellent reviews. That's tonight here on NBC. Second down and 6. Elway getting the time again, and short of the first down on the completion to Mark Jackson, and a flag has been tossed.
That's holding against Denver. It certainly appears that Denver is giving Elway plenty of time to throw. There's good pass protection up front, and maybe because it's holding.
Number 76 on the offense, still second out.
Ken Lanier, the real veteran on the offensive line. You'll see him on Keith Willis, 93. He's got a handful of jersey, and he also has his arm across his chest. So it ends up being second down and 16 now. There's Dan Reeves. This is when quarterbacks like coaches to call the plays.
Yeah.
You call him at second and 16, Coach.
Back at the 33, Elway checks it over. 10-7 Denver leading Pittsburgh. And flags thrown. Elway trying to get the movement off the cadence. Took a playful tap from left defensive end Keith Willis.
That flag came in very, very late. They're trying to decide, is this on the offense or the defense?
Got that foul, it's still second down.
Yeah, that was very late. They've already drawn Pittsburgh off twice. So we repeat the same down. No flag. Slipped out of somebody's pocket.
It is a do-over. Second and 16 at the 33.
Do-over. I like that. The offensive lineman Jim Jariga. That's something wrong with his helmet. That's something you want to fix in this game.
Humphrey, the lone deep back. Kelly, 87, in motion. Elway looking for Humphrey, then changed his mind. Elway on the run and is able to get it away, and Humphrey could not hold on. He was right at the first down marker.
Oh, he hit. They had him 9 ways to Sunday there. When Elway began to scramble, the cornerback comes up. Watch over on the right. Actually, I think it's Lloyd that comes up when Elway begins to scramble, and Humphrey is wide open out there in the flat. Now, Rod Rust, the defensive coordinator, yeah, it's Lloyd. Rod Rust, the defensive coordinator, told us last night, every time John Elway goes back to pass, it's 2 plays in 1. It's the timing of the pass, and then it's the scramble, and that's the problem of playing John Elway in the Denver Broncos.
Third down and 16 at the 33. Elway in the second quarter 0 for 4 and the 2 interceptions.
Johnson
pegging deep, and he has it. A beautiful catch as he contested with Rod Woodson.
Denver converted a 3rd and 20 in the first quarter, and now they convert a big 3rd down again. Great protection. You see Johnson right there at the line of scrimmage, man-to-man coverage. Elway waits, has plenty of time. This is an all-pro catch by Vance Johnson. That is outstanding.
Vance Johnson coming off a career day with 7 catches last week against the Eagles. 37-yard pickup on that play. And Humphrey is hit down, caught in the backfield by Keith Willis. There is Willis, back from a neck injury that forced him out last year. 7th year out of Northeastern at 6'1", one of the smaller defensive ends in the NFL, but makes up for that with exceptional leverage. Now 21-0. Raiders blowing out the Bengals. Bob Costas telling us earlier that Boomer Esiason was shaken up. San Diego in front. Giants leading Phoenix. Giants wiping out Phoenix in that earlier meeting at the New Jersey Meadowlands. 2nd down and 14 at the 34. Elway with that short drop looked like he was going to scramble and then was hit by Brian Hinkle.
That didn't work. That was a design quarterback draw that did not work at all. Did not trick Pittsburgh whatsoever. Brian Hinkle stayed at home. He has no place to run. 92 Olszewski also on the helping tackle for an assist. And now Denver goes with 4 wide receivers, and they've had a lot of 3rd down and long yardages, but they've converted this one 3rd and 14, Mark.
And the Teal is to the left, Young to the right. Young in motion. Elway, after stepping up, threw it through a crowd again, almost intercepted by Woodson. Griffin got a piece of it, and Elway throwing right into coverage, looking for Young.
He didn't see Woodson at all. Well, Woodson's kind of back there playing center field. You see him on the underneath help. He's looking at Elway. Elway is telegraphing where it's going when Michael Young goes outside. Almost makes the pick. It's Larry Griffin, 22 on the inside. And they're going for it on 4th down. No. This is a fake punt. We saw John Elway do this on Friday. I'll bet he punts.
Yes, he does.
That doesn't work.
It does carry in. He was hoping to get the hop inside the 5. It goes down as a 34-yarder. And the Steelers were not exactly baffled by that play. We'll be back in a moment.
Watch the punt formation. Elway goes back in the shotgun. This almost works, but A.J. Jenkins, number 99, gets a free shot on John Elway, and he takes it. That almost worked. Vance Johnson very close to downing this ball, but just rolls in the end zone. So touchback, Pittsburgh's ball.
1st down at the 20 for Bubby Brister. Following that punt by John Elway, his first of the season. Brister on the screen has Hodge, but it's a loss with Mecklenburg right on the scene.
That's the 3rd screen they've tried. Simon Fletcher with good pressure on Bubby Brister, and Mecklenburg is not fooled a bit from behind the offense. See, Mecklenburg reads this perfectly, floats right out there in front of Jackson. John Jackson, 65, the offensive tackle. That's a great concession on the part of Pittsburgh. You know, they're going to the screen a lot here. This is not bread and butter for Pittsburgh. Nice tackle by Mecklenburg for a loss.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 11 at the 19. Now Hodge on the ground, going wide. And he runs it out at the 26-yard line. Atwater and Henderson running him out of bounds. A look around the NFL. Final scores. Cleveland on 3 touchdowns thrown by Bernie Kosar. Houston knocking off Detroit. Atlanta over Buffalo. Miami with the victory. The Jets winning for only the 2nd time this season. Green Bay by 1 over Chicago. Bears have lost 4 in a row. In overtime, Minnesota 23-21. Rich Carlos tying an NFL record with 7 field goals. Raiders winning big over Cincinnati. San Diego in front, and so are the Giants. 3rd down and 4. Now Brister with protection and able to complete for the 1st down to the rookie Derek Hill. Hill making his first NFL start, a 3rd-round draft pick out of the University of Arizona, tackled by Randy Robbins.
Again, good pass protection by the Pittsburgh offensive line. Brister, the thing he does here is watch how he keeps his feet moving. See, they never stop, keeps his feet moving. Now he's always ready to throw it. He zings it in there low, and Hill makes a tough catch. Braxton on the coverage. See, watch his feet, watch his feet. That's the secret to that completion.
First down at the 34. Hodge and Worley, the running backs. It is Worley cutting inside, and just a couple. Dennis Smith, the strong safety, along with Mark Munford making the stop. Mark Munford out of Nebraska, grew up in Denver, but attended University of Nebraska. Did not enjoy yesterday's Cornhusker loss to Colorado. There's Munford, number 51.
He had the guts to wear red yesterday at practice, though. He did, and he did proudly. If Pittsburgh is having a problem, it's on first down. They've had 9 first down plays in this first half. Only 4 times have they gained yardage.
Second down and 8. Brister with the bullet and has the first down with the tight end Mike Malarkey. Mecklenburg and Munford combined on the stop. So Brister beginning to get things done after that difficult start. 2 interceptions by Elway, keeping the Steelers in the ball game. It's a 10-7 Denver lead with 3.5 remaining. Second quarter.
They're really going with the short stuff, too. Very, very short. Sometimes 8-9 yards deep only.
Lewis Lips, who to this point has not caught a ball, is flanked to the right side. Back to the ground. Hodge.
Fumble.
The Broncos indicating they have it. They'll wait.
Townsend has it. 61. Yes, finally an indication from the officials. Andre Townsend comes up with it.
Andre Townsend, a man who has forced 2 fumbles, now recovers 1.
Short trap run by the Pittsburgh Steelers. You see long 74 coming up through there. It looks like Townsend makes the contact. You can see the ball is loose at his feet, and Townsend pounds on that ball right between Hodge's legs. Hodge knows the ball is loose. Looked like Munford and Andre Townsend made the hit. First turnover of the day for Pittsburgh. Denver back on the offense. Marv, it looks like the guy who is going to make the real hit is Brooks. He comes over here and reads this run by Merrill Hodge and knocks the ball loose. Townsend also on the assist, but watch the great job of pursuit by Brooks. Bam, the hit by the arm and the ball comes loose. Townsend recovers. And there's Michael Brooks.
Very physical player who likes the Broncos' defensive style.
Dan Reeves said he likes Brooks because it makes the Denver Bronco defense very difficult to run at the corner. You got Simon Fletcher on one outside and Brooks on the other. As you can see, this is something that Pittsburgh has had problem with not just this year, but last year. They had 40 fumbles to lead the NFL. They only lost 13, but they are coughing the ball up with great regularity.
And that began opening day against Cleveland when they were pounded by the Browns 51-0, with Worley losing 3 fumbles. First 9 times he carried the ball. Second week of the season, Pittsburgh blasted by Cincinnati 41-0, but they have turned around. They have won 4 of the last 6. They're now 4-4, but it is back to the offense for Denver from the 47. Humphrey. So Bobby Humphrey gets inside the 45. Greg Lloyd, David Little making the stop. Just under 3 minutes to go in this first half. A reminder to our viewers, we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game at the conclusion of the contest. And Reeves pointed out earlier this week that this has been the least enjoyable season of his 9-year career. Says he enjoys the games but has not enjoyed dealing with the Denver media. Also upset that he had to shuffle his coaching staff as he did following last season. Elway in trouble and runs it out of bounds, but picks up the first down.
Nice block by Vance Johnson. right at the end of that run, the receiver turns blocker. Now the linebacker Olszewski, 92, is pressure. Pittsburgh not really a big blitzing team, but when Elway gets out of the pocket, just at the end of this play, you're going to see Vance Johnson, a little guy. Well, you can't quite see him, but he gets just enough of the defensive player. See if we can pick it out again. Here comes Vance Johnson. It looks like Gerald Williams, the nose tackle, gets bumped. That's enough for Elway to pick up the first down.
It is a first down at the 32-yard line. 82 Johnson in motion. Humphrey with the acceleration. Steelers try to strip him. Humphrey able to hold on. The rookie Jerry Olszewski on the tackle as we come up to 2 minutes to go in this first half. So we'll be back here at Mile High Stadium in Denver after this pause.
Former head coach of the Los Angeles Raiders there on the right comes back to Denver. Told me yesterday, he said, my one job is to prepare John Elway. And he also, I said to him, I said, you know, John doesn't treat you like a coach and you don't treat him like a player. He says, well, we've probably spent more time together in the last 4 years than we have with our wives. Watching film, lifting weights, preparing for the game.
Elway had Shanahan in a headlock when they walked off the practice field the other day, something I don't think John will be doing with Dan Reeves. Elway completes to Humphrey, getting inside the 25. David Little on the stop. Not that that's the telling point. I walked off the other day with you in a headlock.
No, not true, not true. This is going to be 4th and short. I think Denver will go for it here. 1:40 to go and clock ticking at the end of the first half. I think they almost have to go for it. Looks like they're bringing in the big guys. I see at least 2 tight ends. There's Kay. Mobley is also in the ball game. So 3rd and short.
Clock is running down. We're coming up on 1:10 to go. First half. Elway able to complete and has the first down with the tight end Clarence Kay. David Little on the stop. A timeout has been called by the Broncos.
Well, they convert the 3rd down so they don't have to try for it on the 4th down.
Well, tonight's lineup on NBC will start out with Ernest Goes to Camp, followed by the family comedies Sister Kate and My Two Dads, and then the world premiere of Cross of Fire. They will all be seen in their entirety following the game, except on the West Coast, where you can see them at their regularly scheduled time. That is tonight, following football.
All right, I'll tell you what, Pittsburgh is doing a pretty good job of covering the primary receivers of the Denver Broncos. This time Elway is looking downfield, but he's well covered, and Clarence Kay is the outlet receiver. You see him right in front of 92. And he's not a primary receiver in this, but always able to find him for the first down conversion. Pittsburgh's defensive backs doing a pretty good job downfield.
When we resume, Denver first down at the Pittsburgh 19. 1:04 left in this first half. Denver 10, Pittsburgh 7. 22-yard run by Bubby Humphrey. A 26-yard field goal by Treadwell, and Brister to Rodney Carter on a 15-yard pass play. Bob and OJ at halftime. All the scores and highlights. Oh, lots of movement.
Tight end move.
Referee Red Cashin.
Number 88 on the offense, still first down.
And that is Clarence Kay, called for the false start.
Well, that'll drive you crazy if you're a head coach. Come on, gentlemen. Get the snap count. We're supposed to trick the defense, not supposed to trick the offense.
And it is a 1st and 15 back at the 24. Now Humphrey and Sewell are in the backfield. Elway with the time, and then they close in, and down he goes. John Elway was sacked 7 times last week by the Philadelphia Eagles, 2nd time of the day for the Steelers. Greg Lloyd coming up with it, his 3rd of the year. And there is Lloyd out of Fort Valley State.
Denver takes the timeout with 57 seconds left. I think they were trying to get the ball to Steve Sewell here. He's in the backfield. He's going to have there's Carnell Lake, and he's waiting for a guy to clear underneath, but Clarence Kay didn't get out there quick enough. Alsaski 92 on the inside. And again, John Elway does the smart thing. He's already thrown 2 interceptions, 13 on the season. He takes the sack. And this is a good enough offense, and he has enough weapons out there, and they've converted the big downs that they've needed today that they can go back and try it again.
Well, the penalty and the sack may have taken Denver out of field goal range. It will be a 47-yard attempt right here for David Treadwell. Raiders with that 21-0 lead, spurred on by Bo Jackson in the first half. Philadelphia and San Diego now tied at 7. And the Giants with that 14-3 lead on the Phoenix Cardinals. Up and down here for Phoenix. Win 2 in a row, lose 4 straight. And they've won their last 2. It is now second down and 21 at the 30. From the shotgun. Screen for Humphrey. And he is hammered down at the 25 by Olszewski. Clock is running as we come up on 40 seconds to go in this first half.
Good idea, but well defensed by Pittsburgh. This does not fool them. You see Humphrey does a little bit of pass protection there, and then 50 David Little is there. Olszewski is there to help on the tackle along with 93 Willis.
And a third down and 15. Clock still running. Elway on the move. Has lots of room and slides close to the first down marker with the timeout taken. The clock is stopped with 11 seconds remaining.
What did Rod Russ tell us? 2 parts of every play worth repeating, especially with Elway. The pass and then the scramble. They have good coverage downfield. They put in their dime package, Pittsburgh does. You can see the defense is spread all over the field, and it's a pass now, but now it turns into a run. Now all the defensive backs have to come up to the line of scrimmage. John Elway went into this game as Denver's 7th all-time leading rusher, and they're just short of the first down.
It is a 15-yard run. Elway has carried the ball 4 times for 29 yards.
Nightmare for any defensive coordinator, not just Rod Russ. Treadwell will come on for the field goal attempt.
And that it is a 4th and inches, 11 seconds remaining. Dan Reeves will go for the 3. Treadwell earlier hit from 26 yards away. On the season, he is 15 for 19. At one point, hit 11 in a row before he missed from 54.
I'm always a little bit leery about these field goal attempts. Now, Kubiak is the holder here. Treadwell is the kicker. You never can tell. They're running the clock down to 3 seconds, and Kubiak takes the timeout, but I'm always a little bit leery. You know, yes, they can take the sure 3 points. They're acting like it's going for a field goal, but whenever you have a quarterback as the holder, I don't know. I'm not comfortable as the defense. John Elway certainly not a good half for himself.
Started out well in that first quarter and then intercepted twice. Elway 9 for 15, 173 yards with the 2 intercepts. David Treadwell, first-year player out of Clemson, who replaced Rich Carlos, who was cut during a preseason. Carlos today hitting for 7 field goals, tying an NFL record. Jim Bakken of St. Louis connected for 7 back in 1967. This is a 26-yard attempt once again for Treadwell. Kubiak puts it down, and the kick is good. Second field goal of the day for Treadwell. And at halftime, the Broncos, who appear to be on the way to blowing out Pittsburgh, have to settle for a 13-7 lead with the Steelers coming back.